Hello everyone, Lawrence here from Unicorn Reviews, and today we're looking at a new 27-inch LG cinema screen. Cinema screen because it has basically no bezels at all, as you can see, but also because it's an IPS pre-calibrated screen, which means the colors are absolutely gorgeous. Now it is only Full HD, but we're going to start with a quick overview and we're going to start from the bottom up. So as you can see, it has one of these hollow metal feet, which are just gorgeous. It then has this crystal stand, as LG calls it. It's basically a piece of plastic which is completely see-through, which is amazing. It just looks good, unless when there's a bunch of cables behind it, and then it just looks awful, really. But the screen itself has very little bezels. The monitor OSD can only be controlled with a single joystick in the bottom, which it works. It's enough. You don't have a bunch of awkwardly positioned buttons, which is great. On the back we have two DVI ports, one of those old VGA ports, but sadly no DVIs, no display ports. I don't know what LG was thinking, but we really need display ports these days, so they should really include that with the next one. We also have an audio out or audio pass-through, depending on what you prefer. Now, last week we had a look at the Asus VG248 monitor, which was a very gaming focused monitor, whereas this is more productivity and color image work, that sort of stuff. It's still great for gaming because it is IPS. It's a tiny bit slower at 5 milliseconds gray to gray and only 60 Hertz instead of 144, but it is quite good to game on, especially because the color is there and there's a lot of deepness in the blacks. You get to see a lot more stuff that you usually wouldn't see on a cheaper TN panel. Now, one of the things which, oddly enough, the gaming monitor had and this more productivity focused monitor doesn't have is an actual usable stand. So while this thing looks amazing, it only has tilt. It does not have swivel or height adjust or anything, which is typical of LG, really, to just make it look incredibly good, but then usability wise it's a tiny little bit less. Although I have to say, for me personally, because it's 27 inches, it's high enough anyway. You don't really need height adjust, but you know, this may vary for other people. Of course, there is now a full normal VESA mount included, so if you want to use your own mount, you can easily do that. Now, of course, with a cinema screen which features itself and markets itself as being pre-calibrated, looking gorgeously, it is of course quite important that we verify if LG isn't just lying to us like Volkswagen would. So I have to say, the colors on this screen, they look amazing. It just feels so accurate. It's not oversaturated, it's not undersaturated, and all the colors look pretty damn good. Now, another issue that I had with previous LG screens, especially with my TV, is backlight bleeding. I checked this one on both black, red, blues and greens, and the backlight bleeding is non-existent, which is amazing. The screen just looks perfectly fine. And because it is pre-calibrated, you don't have to adjust anything yourself. But say if it's not up to your standards for some reason, there is a full color calibration tool in the screen itself, so you can just adjust everything to be perfect if it isn't perfect already. Now, LG includes a lot more than just that. They also have a color duplicator, color cloning I think it's called, where if you have multiple identical LG displays, you can just match the colors on all of them, which for gamers or just productivity people who work on multiple displays is so handy. I mean, the time I spent with my triple screen setup to make every screen look exactly the same is just, I spent days on that, and with this one it's just very easy to do. I don't have multiple ones, but I guess the theory works, so yeah, great feature to have, as well as all the LG color calibration tools that are just incredibly handy. Now, I know that for a lot of people, you're not just going to be doing productivity stuff, which is why I tested if it is any good at gaming and watching videos or movies. And I have to say it's pretty good for that. There's little to no ghosting whatsoever. There is no flickering, which is amazing, not just for you as a user, but for me as well filming the screen. As you can see, there's no flickering going on, no matter what frame rate I'm using on my camera, which is, I mean, it's just so lovely to have this no flicker stuff. It's also less fatiguing to the eyes. Now, because as I said, because it is IPS, it's slightly slower than a TN panel, but the color accuracy more than makes up for this. So I wouldn't ever like doubt between two 60 Hertz panels just because one is IPS and one is TN. I would always go with the IPS panel despite being slower. the color accuracy just makes up for it in so many ways. As some of you might know, I'm also a bit into photography, and I used this screen to re-edit a few of my raw files and compare them to what I did previously while trying to go for the same picture. And I have to say, it also helped out a fair bit. It's not like suddenly you become the best, Photoshopper in the world, but it's the little things, this tiny bit more accuracy. If it's only 1 or 2%, that's nothing on paper, but it's so important to have, and it's so handy to have. And I have to say, I'm really happy with the way the colors and the accuracy of the colors is with this LG screen with a way too long name to remember. Alright then, time for the conclusion, and I'm going to start off with 2 negatives here because they're the only 2 negatives I have with this screen. The first one being the name of the thing. It's just way too long and I can't remember it, which makes me look like an idiot here on YouTube. The second issue I have with it is the foot of it. It looks great, it's however not very practical in real life situations where you didn't set everything up very nicely. There's going to be cables behind it, it's going to look messy. It also attracts a lot of dust, as I've noticed with my other LG screens that had one of these crystal stands. So it looks great. If you keep it clean all the time, it will keep looking great, but I don't think it's worth losing the height adjust and the pivoting, and the tilting is there, but it's not extremely handy tilt. So please LG, if you can keep this design and have it adjustable for more and better ergonomics, that would be great. But it may be a minor one because for me, as I said, the height of it is great. Now, the biggest thing with this screen is of course the fact that it's pre-calibrated, that the colors look great, and that if it's not great enough for you, you can still further calibrate it yourself, and LG has a bunch of tools for it. So you can do a great job with this monitor, and it's just perfect in many ways, except for the foot and the name. Most importantly, the name. Anyway guys, if you like this video, press that like button. If you didn't like the video, don't do anything. You can subscribe to the channel if you want to. It helps me out a lot because it's just cool for bragging rights when my friends ask me how many views and subscribers I have. So like, subscribe, and if you want to follow me more or support me more, there is a Patreon page as well as a Twitter profile and a Facebook profile for you guys to follow me. Thank you very much for watching.